and in particular about the Tellfari protocol. It's a social protocol, a new internet protocol, and we hope it will be one day more used and more important than email. Now, that's a pretty bold statement to make, but we're just gonna dig into this paper. It's a very simple paper, only 5 pages, but it should be incredibly entertaining. Now, there's something called location-based communication, and this is one of the most one of the oldest types of communications there is. If if you go back to the old days, I guess the first recorded communication was something that somebody drew on a cave, and it sort of makes the place. It makes the place. When you just leave messages around a place, you engage with people around you, and it's just a system that has worked for ages. Even when you write a book, you're sort of creating a fictitious place, and the best novels create these environments where you sort of get inside the story. And even in a book, we use location-based communication devices. Is magnificent. So, in order to calculate the impact of a location-based communication, we in this framework we just count the number of people for a message M. So in the case of an email, let's say I'm sending an email to a coworker, the impact of that email will be 1 if I'm sending it to one person. If I post the same message to a social media account, then the impact increases to I. Impact equals number of friends times the probability that all my friends will read it. This probability could go from 0 to 1. In the case that is 1, then all my friends read it, and in the case that is 0.5, then half of my friends read it, and so on. So we can get an intuition that the impact of social media is significantly could be higher than the impact of emails if I'm just emailing one person at a time. Now let's consider this same scenario for a billboard. This billboard says diamonds are forever. It's a billboard, selling you maybe a diamond for an engagement ring. Let's assume that 3,000 drivers are driving through that highway in any given rate, and that the city has 1 million residents. Now, if 1% of the drivers notice this sign, pretty standard number for a billboard, then 3,000 drivers are actually going to see your message every day. So the impact of this billboard is 3,000. Right? It's pretty high impact. Now, to have that impact, you will need to email 3,000 people every day to have the impact that this billboard has, or you will need to come up with 90,000 friends on a month to have the impact that this billboard has. So it's pretty huge. So at a glance, billboards have more impact than emails for most people that are sending emails, and billboards have more impact in than social networks for most people that use social networks, right? Obviously, there are influencers that have these huge follower accounts, but that's besides the point of our conversation. But this calculation is just very simplistic. We are just taking into account the number of people and the impressions and whatnot. A better intuition for impact is, show me something that reaches its target audience with the least waste possible. That's something impactful, because that's something laser focused, targeted, and effective. Now, in order for us to do that, we need to calculate waste. And if we minimize waste, we could very well increase the effectiveness of any campaign. This concept is based on the idea that if you're not wasting attention and you're not wasting money recruiting people that want to see a message, you can deploy that money to target other people, right? So the minimization of waste is as important as is the maximization of impact. You don't only want to show your ad to a lot of people, you want to avoid showing your ad to irrelevant people, because you can use that money to just target relevant people. So for an email message sent to a friend, since I know exactly who needs to read this email message, waste is zero or nearly zero, because that person still has to read the message. In social media, waste is pretty high, but it's a fraction of n times rn, so it cannot be higher than this. You could read different papers on this. Some say that half of social media messages are a waste of time. Some will go as higher as saying that 90% of them are a waste of time. It really depends on the literature that you refer to. I'm gonna recommend here this write-up from the Web3 Foundation. It's called Social Protocols, of which Tellfari is one. Just so that you get acquainted with what a social protocol is. We all know what technical protocols like DNS and SMTP are, but this one is a good foundation for understanding what Bifari actually is. Okay, so what Tellfari actually is, sorry. So in the case of the billboard, this is a different beast. This beast is wasting metal, is wasting paper, and is wasting electricity. So it's also wasting the attention of everybody that passes through it and is not getting married, because the message is just not relevant, right? So the waste, you can assign like an economic figure to all this, but the waste in attention is like 900,000 seconds of attention per day, right? If you assume seconds of attention per person, and if you divide these seconds by the seconds in 24 hours, you get a loss of 10.41 days of attention per day in the city. So 10.4 days of attention loss every day in the city. It's like saying, okay, every time you put a billboard with an irrelevant message, the time that it takes for people to process that message is wasting us 10 manpower days, 10 productivity days. This means that if you display such a message in a highly viewed billboard, you are sort of losing the lives of 10 adults and children every day. It's a little bit dramatic, but you get the point. It's like these people are not doing anything every day, which is quite sad. Now here's the problem. The problem is that there's not one billboard like this in a city. There are thousands of such billboards in any given city. So we're just taking the example in this metro area that the city has 1,000 billboards. And now, when we run this calculation, we realize that we're losing the maybe not the life, but the time, the loss of focus of 10,000 adults and 1,000 children every day. And that's 1% of the city's productive force. Now, the problem is you have to drive back home. So when you drive back, you actually lose 2% of the city's productive force just by having unfocused people. So you waste a lot of time being unfocused. Now, you could argue that, I was going to be driving anyway. This is my daily routine. I'm not working. This is like part of whatever I'm doing. So it wasn't that wasteful for me. But just imagine if you got to be a little more focused every day. If we sort of took all of these billboards, all of these ads, all of the media that is targeting you, and we made it more relevant. In some cases, we might even hide it, but in other cases, we might just simply make it more relevant to you. That is a shift of focus that could save or make a gain for any city equivalent to the productivity of 10,000 adults in this scenario. And if you consider the case in which you have to drive back, that's 20,000 adults. That's 10 factories. That's 10 additional factories per city of people focused, working, producing more. And obviously you can argue this stuff back and forth, but it allows you to build an intuition of the humongous waste that billboards create. So point number one, billboards are more wasteful than emails and social media, which is something that is kind of surprising because a lot of people might have thought that that you waste more time with social media, but you do waste more time with billboards. because more people see them, and then they are not as relevant on social media. Number two, the biggest waste that occurs on a billboard is not on the metal, the paper, or the electricity. It's in the time that they take away from us in terms of focus, peace, misdirection. So these are factors, widely talk about factors: distractions, loss of peace, misdirections. That's why a lot of people tell you that they hate ads. This is a model that could be like expanded to banners, online banners, but we're not talking about that right now. Let's just remain focused on billboards. So let's solve this problem by introducing a system called Tellfari. Okay. So last year I introduced a system called Bitfari, which is a collection of billboards that display relevant messages. And a lot of people were asking me, okay, so what is the protocol of communication and how are you doing this stuff? So the math is baked into a protocol called Tellfari, which is a project that I started 10 years ago. And now with Bitcoin, we have put in money into the mix, crypto into the mix, and made it, better, essentially more robust, more powerful, just better. So Tellfari is a component of Bitfari. It's an email app, and it's very simple. Kind of looks like this. It's a simple email app, and it allows you to send mass emails that are highly relevant, no spam, to reach people in your location. We're gonna see this later. Let's go back. So let's imagine the billboards are connected to a massive search engine that instantly customizes every message so that it reduces waste and maximizes impact. Okay, so you have the impact equation here, the waste equation here. Tellfari will be impact minus waste, and then we just want to maximize this impact minus waste. It's just a simple substitution, and then the maximum value of this system will be reached when the impact is the maximum and waste will be the minimum, which is equal to I times n, which was, as you could see up, just equal to the email case. So when the email is the most focused, this brings the most value to the system. So what we want is a system that can deliver high impact to each person at a time, right? We want this to be we don't want it to be wasteful. So we want a system that delivers messages from person to person, just like email, not like a social network, so no feeds, just directly. We want this to be highly, highly, highly relevant. Okay, so this is step number one, the intuition around how we're gonna create the maximum. Now, this network of billboards showcase the most relevant messages for passersby, and we're using Bitfari because that's the system that I built. Let's just show how Tellfari connects to Bitfari to show relevant messages, right? Um, to build Tellfari, we need some components. Some of them are the same components that we use on Bitfari, others are different. We start with D, which is a disclosure matrix. This could be a vector or a matrix. And the vector contains things like, it contains keywords. I want to buy milk, I want to see movie trailers, I want to see movie on shoes, and whatever. So this is your disclosure matrix. This is the stuff that you're into. This is the stuff that you want to do today. If you went to Google and you try these searches, right, you want to buy local milk, so maybe Google doesn't work for that one. You want to see trailers on a big billboard, right? So maybe Google's not good for that one because it will show you trailers on your smartphone. And then you want to save money on shoes, but you want to buy from your local store. So maybe Google's not good for that one either. So you might want to consider, just try Bitfari for these searches. So we also introduce a variable P, which is the price of your attention, the price of the user's attention. We also consider a variable called LM, which is local market. Local market contains offers, content, applications, and ads that might be relevant to my searches. Right. So this is basically this is my attention space or my focus space, and this is the offer space. Right. Offers, focus, and price of my attention. So what do we do with this? With this, we just take a matching score a matching score for for how how close these things are to my interest, and then C is the cost of reading the message. How long is this message? Is it a video? Is it a text? Is it like a big web page? So this might be in terms of seconds, how long it takes me to read it. And then a relevant message is a message, this is by definition, that meets the threshold of M minus C is bigger than P. So the matching score minus the time it takes me to read it, it's bigger than the price of my attention. So since this stuff matches with whatever I want, and it's not gonna take me a lot of time to actually consume it, and it's bigger than the price of my attention, then it might make sense for me to read it, because it's just so relevant that it's worth my attention, right? So this is something that other systems don't really have, or maybe they don't disclose. So this is our relevance scoring mechanism, right? It's pretty basic. As you can see, it's very basic. However, calculating a matching score is really not basic. It's like really complicated. The cost of reading might be a simple thing to calculate, but then again, this matching score is just a monster to calculate. Now, the price of my attention is a given. You can give us your salary. We divide it by the number of seconds in the year, and then we can get your price of attention. Or you can type in a figure in the application. So that's very easy. So what is Tellfari? It's a system that gathers, in the form of direct emails, all the relevant messages of a local market and delivers them timely using a personal device or a network connected screens, such as Bifari. So it's like super relevant messages, super relevant emails, super relevant communication delivered straight to your inbox, right? We're gonna see how many applications it can have. The first thing that people think when we show them this framework is that Tellfari is real-time search, but it's actually not real-time search. It's reverse real-time search. So it's the reverse of real-time search. It's not you searching for content. It's the market searching for the prospect. It's the market searching for you. So in this case, when you match with these offers, it's because the local market is searching for you and is trying to find somebody for whom it is worth their attention to look at their messages, because their message is just so relevant. And when you see the problem in this fashion, it sort of flips the problem on its head, because what happens is that you get less messages, less intrusive messages, more relevant messages, and the advertiser can focus their budgets on the people that will like to see those messages, right? So this is like highly powerful. We use Bitcoin to price the attention, for which a person could provide a Bitcoin amount, or they could just provide a yearly salary, and then we do the calculation of how much their attention costs in Bitcoin, and then we would just send them messages that meet that attention price threshold, attention value threshold, right? And with this, we can create a pure and perfect location-based communication system, because what we can do is that we can use your economic interest to match them with advertisers and only show you messages that respect your focus and that value your attention. Let me show you how this works, because we have a couple of, and actually I can even show you the app here, because we have a live app. So I guess I'm gonna do that, because that might be better. So I have a live app. It's actually pretty fast. It's becoming faster by the day. Okay, so I have this is this chips next week, so it's still in beta, but we cracked it. So it looks like an email. So I lost my dog, and I just go here and I just compose a message. Let me just make this bigger so that people can see it better, right? perfect. That's perfect. That's big. Okay, so I lost my dog, and you can see some photos of my dog. It creates. You give it a username, and then it creates like it uses your account, tax account, to give you like a private uh, name, right? And then I just lost my dog, and I want you to help me find it, right? And you might send this message to the street, to the neighborhood, to some homes, or to a city, to the entire city. And then what you do is that you say, okay, this message is valued at 300 stacks. So this message has a price, right? So we are conflating communication with economy. So we are mixing Bitcoin with social networking or crypto with email, right? So it's Bitcoin with money, with communication, okay? So I say, this is my message. I need people to help me, and I'll give you 300 stacks if you find my dog. Now, the budget might be even higher. The budget might be 500 stacks, and then 200 of that might be for distribution, or 100 of that might be for distribution, 100 of that might be for bounties, and then 300 for payment, right? So when you're composing the message, you attach to it an economic figure, and then you pay the user money in crypto, in Bitcoin or Faris or stacks to read your message. If the user says my attention is worth 1 milli Bitcoin or one stack, then you only get messages that pay one stack or 1 milli Bitcoin. That makes sense? Because you only get messages that respect your attention. So you can price your time, and you might only get messages where the stuff is relevant, so you will get stuff that you are into, but also that messages that pay so much that you're gonna make more by looking at it than by not doing so. So let's look at this message. So you have an app and this message, and you are releasing it, and you just want people to read the email. So instead of paying, running Google ads or running Facebook ads or whatever, you just do a Tellfari, and you just do a write up of your app, right? You like Batman, so your nickname is the Dark Knight. We call this alter ego, but it's simple to think about it as a nickname. And then you send an email here, and you talk about your app, and you say, I want you to try this app. Here's the link. I like it. It's really nice. It's really cool. I'm gonna pay you 0.001 stacks just to read this message. So Bifari will count the letters. It will count the size of the message. It will tally up how long it will take you to read the message, and it will add that up as a cost of your attention cost of reading the message, and then it's going to see how relevant this is with your interest, right? So then it's going to take this matching score. Let's see here, matching score, and it's going to subtract the cost of reading the message, and then if it's bigger than the price of your attention, then you will get this message, right? Provided that you are in the geographic space to which the message was sent, yada yada yada. You get the picture. So you can send these messages to a city, to a street. If you're in a university, you could send it to a full university, right? If you need a friend on a street for whatever reason, you can just email them. In this case, this person is just emailing people on a street and asking them if a club is back, and he's offering a bounty of 5 stacks. Since this person is he's in the space, he has the app, and he's looking for opportunities. So he found the message, and he replies, you know what, the club is back. I've sent you a couple of pictures of the club, but just wait until the chief of the bouncer ends, because the next bouncer is more friendly or whatever, right? This person is gonna get $5 or $10, right? And you get an instant body at a particular place that allow you to solve a problem. The thing is that you were emailing the place, not people. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want you to know, realize about Bitfari. You're emailing the place instead of people. And this is relevant because when you do it in this way, you are putting a billboard. You're constructing a billboard because you're creating location-based communication without having to erect a billboard in any place, if that makes sense, right? So by doing things this way, you don't have to go around um, placing posters, right, at every other store with pictures of your dog. You can just send a Tellfari to people nearby, and they will get this message. And then, if they're interested in they could get the bounty. Pretty neat stuff. Pretty neat stuff. Cool stuff. So, obviously, Bitfari does a lot of stuff. This is just one app of Bitfari. As you can see, it works just like an email system. You have the send, you can do a draft, you have spam, trash. You can have multiple labels of multiple types of messages. So if you're in a company, you can get a Tellfari from people in your company. Others will be personal messages. You can send them as a private Tellfari just to like a group of your friends that happen to be in a location. So let's say you went to a concert and you wanted to email people in a group because you're traveling with people of your school. You don't need to create a WhatsApp group with the people of the school. You can use private and then email people and use whichever keywords you want, and it will be emailed privately to those people, right? Using some crypto, of course, but it doesn't have to be allowed. So it's a pretty nice system for you to create these billboards that connect you to the place and allow for more sophisticated location-based communications. It can use an attachment. These attachments they go through our network of auditors. That makes it a little bit more expensive, but for some messages it's worth it. If you have an app that you want to attach a link or whatever, if you want to attach a link, that links go through a system that verifies that there's no problems with it. The auditors then check it, and then the message gets distributed. For links, we just have like blacklisting of some domains. That's most of what we do. And then on this message, as you can see, you can make it a favorite, you can archive it, label it, can delete it, can move to a different page. It has the labels here, has the date here. You can reply to it, talk to this person, or you can forward this to another person. Well, if you click reply, it will only like charge you the transaction cost. But it actually doesn't charge you anything for you to engage in a conversation. Good, good. Hopefully you enjoy this. I'm going to upload this, and hopefully people will get a better intuition of why Tellfari is more important than email, because it's more impactful and there's more waste in our billboard system. And hopefully some people will start getting how you can build a dynamic billboard by using an email, just to email the place instead of spending money in wood, paper, metal, and line and electricity, just to show a basic message that might not be all that relevant. Thanks for your attention, and remember to always bring life to your location. Bye bye.